Jeudy interview. Jeudy didn't lose his temper at Shedeur Sanders. He snapped at the system. When reporters pressed him on whether Sanders was out of sync or overwhelmed, Jeudy cut them off. His voice sharpened, not in defense of a struggling rookie, but an accusation of a franchise he believes is failing him. His message was clear. Shedeur never had a fair shot. He wasn't angry at Sanders. He was angry for him.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Lack of reps, no real development. A rookie tossed into chaos and then blamed for fallout. It wasn't a moment of frustration. It was a veteran blowing the whistle on organizational failure. This press room eruption reveals something deeper than just a bad game or a tough season. It highlights a simmering crisis within the Cleveland Browns, a leadership vacuum where promising players like Sanders are left to flounder without guidance. Jeudy's comments weren't just passionate. They were a warning. A team cannot build around a quarterback they refuse to prepare. If the Browns don't course correct, they won't just lose games. They'll lose the locker room. Jeudy just lit a match and dropped it right in the middle of the Cleveland Browns locker room, and the fire is raging. In a now viral media session, Jeudy didn't just clap back, he exploded, calling out the team's handling of rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders in a moment that's pulling back the curtain on everything actually going wrong behind the scenes in Cleveland. Reporters tried to spin the story like Jeudy was frustrated with Sanders, but that couldn't be further from the truth. The real heat? It's aimed squarely at the Browns organization. According to Jeudy, Sanders hasn't been given the basic tools any rookie quarterback needs to succeed: reps, development time, consistent preparation. And now, there's shock when he struggles? Jeudy isn't having it. He's not mad at the rookie. He's mad for him. And honestly, he has a point. When a team drafts a quarterback, especially one like Shedeur Sanders, who already comes with massive expectations thanks to his college career and famous last name, you'd think they'd invest in him, get him reps, build that QB receiver chemistry, set up a system that gives him a real shot at development. Instead, it seems like the Browns threw him into the deep end with no life jacket. And when he started to sink, they stood on the shore and asked, "Why isn't he swimming?" That's what Jeudy was reacting to. That's what he was done with. The narrative being pushed was that there's some kind of disconnect between him and Shedeur, like the two weren't on the same page. But the only page Jeudy was on? Calling out a broken process that's failed this rookie from the start. And when you actually listen to what Judy's saying, it's not hard to see the deeper issue. Cleveland isn't just fumbling a quarterback. They're fumbling development. They're fumbling team chemistry. They're fumbling accountability. This isn't just about one player. It's about a system that seems built to rush, blame, and deflect instead of support, teach, and grow. According to Jeudy, Sanders hasn't had the chance to build any real rhythm with the team, and the lack of reps shows. You don't just walk into an NFL game and instantly click with your receivers. Chemistry on the field takes months of practice. It's not a switch you flip on game day. And Jeudy's been around long enough to know when that kind of preparation isn't happening. So when reporters started poking around, suggesting there was bad blood or misconnections between him and Shedeur, Jeudy didn't hold back. He tore through the media spin and put the blame right where it belonged, on the Browns' management and coaching staff. He made it clear this isn't a player problem. It's an organizational problem. And honestly, it's about time someone said it. This team has been plagued by instability for years. Quarterback controversies, head coach turnover, locker room drama. It's not new. But Jeudy speaking out like this signals something bigger. This isn't just frustration. This is a veteran player saying, enough is enough. And that takes guts, especially when you're calling out your own team in front of the press. But he's not just venting. Jeudy is advocating. He's putting his reputation on the line to stand up for a rookie who, let's be real, hasn't been given a fair shot. He's drawing a line in the sand and saying, if we want this kid to succeed, the organization needs to do better. This kind of honesty, you don't hear it often. Usually, players stick to the script. We got to execute better. We believe in our guys. You know the drill. But Jeudy scrapped the script and told the truth. And that truth hit hard. Because once you pull back the layers, the situation becomes painfully clear. Sanders wasn't just underperforming. He was set up to fail. Without proper reps, without consistent coaching, without meaningful on-field experience, even the most talented quarterback is going to struggle. It's not rocket science. It's football. And here's the thing. Jeudy isn't just some random teammate. He's a veteran receiver. He knows exactly what it takes to build timing with a quarterback. He knows what it looks like when someone's prepared and when they're not. And what he's seeing from Sanders isn't lack of effort or ability. It's lack of preparation time, lack of opportunity, lack of support. That's why this outburst hit so hard. It wasn't petty. It wasn't emotional immaturity. It was a seasoned player calling out an organization that seems more interested in quick fixes than long-term development. And the most infuriating part? The media missed it. Or maybe they just didn't want to hear it. They focused on the tone, the anger, the outburst. They spun it into a Jeudy versus Sanders narrative, completely ignoring what he was actually saying. But if you strip away the sound bites and the headlines, you're left with one clear message. Cleveland isn't doing enough for its rookie quarterback. And now the pressure's on. Because Shedeur Sanders is talented. That's not in question. The only question now is whether he can shine despite the chaos surrounding him. Jeudy seems to think he can. And you get the sense that if Sanders goes off in the next game, if he even shows flashes of what he's capable of, it's going to raise a whole lot of questions. Like, why wasn't he getting more reps sooner? Why did the organization wait so long to back him? And most importantly, what could he have accomplished with real support? That next game is shaping up to be a make-or-break moment, not just for Sanders, but for the narrative. Because if he plays well, if he silences the critics even a little, it won't just validate Jeudy's frustration. It'll expose Cleveland's entire approach. And let's be honest, the Browns can't afford another self-inflicted disaster. They've been teetering on the edge of dysfunction for years. And now, thanks to Jeudy's public call-out, they got a spotlight on their player development strategy, or lack thereof. The pressure is mounting, not just from fans and analysts, but from inside the locker room. That's not a good place to be. Because once players start openly criticizing team structure, it means the trust is breaking. And trust, in the NFL, is everything. Without it, you don't just lose games, you lose a locker room. Jeudy's frustration isn't just about Shedeur. It's about watching the same mistakes happen over and over again. It's about a team that keeps drafting talent, but can't seem to nurture it. It's about watching a promising rookie get blamed for a system that's failed him from day one. So, yeah, Jeudy went off. And maybe that's exactly what needed to happen. Because sometimes it takes someone blowing up in a press conference to shake a team out of complacency. Sometimes it takes brutal honesty to spark change. And maybe, just maybe, this outburst will be the thing that finally forces the Browns to take a hard look at how they're developing their future. Or maybe they'll ignore it. Pretend it was just one player venting. Keep doing what they're doing and hope the narrative dies down. But here's the thing, it won't. Because fans heard what Jeudy said. And now they're watching. And if Shedeur Sanders goes off in the next game, if he looks even remotely like the QB he was promised to be, the calls for accountability are only going to get louder. So Cleveland's got a choice. Listen and change, or stay stuck in the same cycle that's left them spinning their wheels for years. Either way, Jerry Jeudy's not backing down. And Shedeur Sanders? He might be just getting started. If you're following the saga, don't just scroll away. Drop a comment and tell us where you stand. Was Jeudy out of line, or was this the truth everyone needed to hear? Hit like, hit subscribe, and stay locked in. Because if this is what week one of the drama looks like, you know there's more chaos coming. And here's where things get even messier, because Jeudy didn't just throw shade at the organization and walk away. He doubled down. He stood there, eyes locked in, and basically told the media, "You're asking the wrong questions." And he wasn't wrong. All the reporters wanted to do was push this tired narrative about timing and chemistry. Why isn't it clicking? Are you frustrated with Shedeur? But Jeudy cut through all that noise like a buzzsaw. He said what needed to be said, loud and clear. Chemistry takes time, and Shedeur hasn't been given any. That's not an excuse. That's reality. a reality the Browns seem determined to ignore. Quarterbacks don't magically wake up with timing down pat. You don't just roll out of bed and throw perfect routes to receivers you barely got first-team reps with in camp. This league doesn't work like that. Jeudy knows it. Any player who's actually been in the trenches knows it. The only people acting surprised are sitting behind microphones looking for drama instead of truth. And that's exactly what Jeudy called out. He wasn't just defending Sanders. He was exposing the whole fragile foundation this team is operating on. Because what kind of system benches a talented rookie for most of the season, then expects him to show up and dominate with no reps, no rhythm, and no runway? It's reckless. It's short-sighted. And it's exactly the kind of decision-making that's turned Cleveland into the NFL's go-to example of how not to build a franchise. You'd think they'd learn. But nope. This is what happens when leadership can't get on the same page. Jeudy's frustration didn't come out of nowhere. It's built up over time. He's watched Shedeur sit on the sidelines. He's seen the half-baked rotations, the lack of development plans, the scrambling to patch holes with veterans instead of grooming the talent they actually invested in. And when the questions start pointing fingers at the players instead of the process, that's when a veteran like Jeudy draws a line. Because what we're really witnessing is a slow-motion breakdown of trust. When the locker room starts questioning the decisions coming from up top, when players start saying the quiet part out loud, that's not just a little hiccup. That's structural failure. And Jeudy just blew the lid off it. Let's not forget, he's been in the league long enough to know how these narratives go. He's seen young players get thrown under the bus before. One bad game, one misread, and suddenly the media starts writing the "he's not ready" storyline. It's lazy. It's convenient. And in this case, it's deeply unfair. Because the problem isn't that Sanders isn't ready. The problem is that Cleveland never gave him a chance to be. And honestly, Jeudy might be one of the few people in that building with the guts to say it publicly. Because calling out your own team isn't easy, especially when you know the blowback is coming. But Jeudy clearly reached his breaking point. And if you listen closely, what you hear underneath that anger is a very specific kind of disappointment. The kind that only comes from watching talent get wasted. And here's the thing, Jeudy isn't some drama chaser looking for a headline. He's a player who knows what it takes to build something real in this league. And when he sees the organization failing a rookie QB in broad daylight, he's not going to smile and pretend everything's fine. Because everything is not fine. What's wild is that the Browns actually had a window, a real chance to do things right, develop Sanders slowly, give him reps, let him get used to the speed of the game, build chemistry with Jeudy and the rest of the offense. But instead, they did what they always seem to do, micromanage, panic, and rush a rookie into a system that wasn't built for him. And now they're shocked it's not working? Please, let's talk about that next game for a second, because that's the real pivot point. If Shedeur steps out there and looks sharp, even after all the disarray, it's going to say everything. It'll say he was never the problem. It'll say the excuses were just noise. And it'll expose in plain sight how Cleveland squandered his rookie season until it was almost too late. That's what's really at stake here. This isn't just about Jeudy's frustration or some locker room tension. This is about a young quarterback with real potential getting tossed into chaos and somehow still finding a way to rise above it. And if he just pull it off, you better believe the Browns front office is going to have some explaining to do. Because then the questions start flying. Why wasn't this the plan all along? Why was a clearly talented rookie riding the bench while the offense stalled week after week? And how many other young players are sitting just like him, waiting for a shot that might never come? That's the storm Jeudy just kicked up, and at this point, it's not going away. The fans see it. The players feel it. And the media? Well, they're just now catching on. And don't get it twisted. This isn't just a Cleveland problem. This is an NFL problem. Too many teams get so caught up in the win-now mentality that they forget about developing the players they drafted. They want miracles, instant returns. And when they don't get them, they pull the plug and blame the rookie. But development takes time. It takes patience. And above all, it takes structure. Something the Browns have been sorely lacking for a long time. Jeudy calling this out is more than a soundbite. It's a warning. If teams keep setting young players up to fail, then turning around and blaming them when things go sideways, you're going to start losing trust, not just from fans, but from your own locker room. Because if veterans can't trust the organization to develop rookies fairly, what does that say about the future of the franchise? And if rookies can't trust the process, what's keeping them invested? That's the deeper crack this whole outburst exposed. Jeudy isn't just fighting for Shedeur. He's fighting for a better culture. One where development is prioritized. One where young talent isn't treated like disposable placeholders. One where players actually believe the team has their back. And if the Browns want to turn this season and this reputation around, that's where they need to start. Stop throwing rookies to the wolves. Stop pretending chemistry appears out of thin air. Start building something sustainable. And listen, actually listen, when your veterans tell you things are broken. Because when players like Jeudy start speaking this loudly, it means they've been ignored for way too long. We're watching a flashpoint moment, one that could either push Cleveland to course correct or send them spiraling even further into dysfunction. But if Sanders steps up and proves he was ready all along, that's not just a win. That's a statement. One that rewrites the entire narrative, shifts the blame, and forces the organization to take a hard look in the mirror. And honestly, that's exactly what they need. Here's what's wild. Jeudy didn't just spark a media firestorm. He cracked open a conversation that goes way beyond one press conference. His rant wasn't a meltdown. It was a message, a challenge, a demand for Cleveland Browns to finally own up to the fact that their system isn't working. And that challenge, it hit home for fans, players, and media alike. Because now, the locker room isn't just watching, they're waiting. Waiting to see if management finally listens. Waiting to see if Shedeur Sanders gets the real shot he deserves. Waiting to see if Jeudy's words actually spark a shift, or they'll get brushed aside like every other red flag this franchise has ignored. And let's be honest, there have been plenty. Cleveland has built a reputation for dysfunction. Talent comes in, promise gets hyped, and then nothing. It fizzles. Not because the players aren't good, but because the infrastructure isn't there. Coaches get swapped, playbooks change, rookies are misused, and somehow it's always the players who get blamed. That's the cycle Jeudy is calling out. The cycle that eats up promising careers and spits out scapegoats. And Shedeur Sanders? He was on track to be the next one. Let's not downplay that. This rookie didn't just walk into a difficult situation. He walked into a mess. A team in flux. An organization scrambling to patch holes instead of laying foundations. And instead of setting him up to grow into the position, they threw him into high-pressure games with minimal prep and then acted surprised when it didn't look perfect. Of course the chemistry isn't there. Of course the rhythm is off. That's not a Sanders issue. That's a leadership issue. And when Jeudy stood up and said exactly that, you could almost hear the silence from front office. No rebuttal. No clarification. Just nothing. Like they hoped if they stayed quiet long enough, the moment would pass. But here's the thing. It won't. Because fans saw it. Loud and clear. The cracks in the process. The lack of preparation. The truth behind Sanders' struggles. It's all out now. And the Browns don't get to hide behind vague coach speak or generic press releases anymore. Not after this. Jeudy's words didn't just offend a teammate. They blew the lid off a problem that's been brewing for seasons. A problem that's made its way into draft decisions, game plans, and player morale. And now the spotlight is on. The next time Sanders steps onto that field, the entire league will be watching. Not just to see how he plays, but to see what happens when a rookie finally gets the support he should have had from day one. Jeudy made it clear, this isn't about miracles. It's about opportunity. Consistency. Representatives of stuff every quarterback needs to succeed. So if Shedeur turns in even a halfway decent performance, if he shows poise, accuracy, or even flashes of potential we know he has, the conversation changes immediately. It'll prove Jeudy right. It'll throw Cleveland's strategy under the microscope, and it'll raise the question that should have been asked from the start. Why did it take this long to give him a real chance? Because the truth is, talent without support is wasted. And this team, they've been wasting it. You can't build a franchise by cycling through quarterbacks like disposable batteries. You can't expect success without development, and you definitely can't hide from your mistakes when your own veterans are calling them out in public. Jeudy lit the fuse. Now it's up to the Browns to decide what happens next. They can keep pretending the locker room is fine, the plan is solid, and the media is overreacting. Or they can take the hint. Course correct. Start treating their young talent like investments instead of insurance policies. And finally create an environment where players like Sanders can actually thrive. Because right now, it's not about how good Shedeur can be. It's about whether the Browns will let him be. So yeah, Jerry Jeudy went off. And maybe he had to. Maybe it took someone with credibility, experience, and zero patience for the same old excuses to say what needed to be said. Loudly, unapologetically. And now, the clock's ticking. We're heading into a make-or-break stretch for this team. Sanders' next game might not define his whole career, but it's going to define this moment. If he rises under pressure, it confirms everything Jeudy's been screaming from the rooftops. If he struggles again, the questions only get louder, because this isn't just a quarterback story anymore. It's a culture story. And if the Browns want to stop being the punchline, they need to start listening to the people in the locker room, not just the ones writing the checks. If you're fired up about this mess too, hit that like button, drop a comment, and tell us, do you think Jeudy was right to go off like that? And what does Cleveland need to finally get it together? Don't forget to subscribe, because we got our eyes on Sanders' next game, and you know we'll be right here the moment the drama unfolds.